Welcome to Kara's Cures, where we explore the cutting edge of well-being for our mind, body, and spirit. Now, when you're thinking of meditation, we usually picture someone sitting quietly, very still, maybe nothing's going on around them. Thanks for being here, everyone. I'm Kara Sundland. Did you know that we can actually meditate while we're on the move? So today we're talking about that. We're talking about a walking meditation. What is it? How does it work? Why should we try it? So joining us now is a teacher and energy healer, Andrea Donnelly, who can talk about how we can calm ourselves and even manifest faster with walking meditation. So thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it is an absolute honor and a joy to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, as we get into that holiday season, I mean, I love to take walks, and I feel like everybody during the pandemic, we were really good at going on lots of walks, and we found out walking helped us. But now that we're back to the real world, if you're trying to incorporate meditation, how do you do that while walking?
Well, it's one of my I've been on a very long metaphysical journey. I started meditating when I was 17. I'm in my mid 40s now, and it has been an absolute treasure in my life. So I'm super passionate about it. And I especially love walking meditation because it does two things at once, right? When you think about I don't know about you, Kara, but I love to kind of do certain house chores like sweeping, washing dishes. There are certain activities that really get me out of my head and into my body. And I think that's the beauty of a walking meditation, especially, what I don't even remember like the statistics, but right, like our attention spans have shifted so much over like a very short window of time. And we can get really like stuck in this, like just like too many things to do and too busy and da da da. And the more you actually start to move your body, which I think of as like the embodying the wisdom part of the human experience, you start to be able to really sink in. And walking meditation, what a beautiful way to do that.
I mean, I talk to so many folks who say, I would like to meditate, I don't have time, or I don't know how, and maybe even the word meditation tricks us. But so if you want to do a walking meditation, what does that look like? How do you even start?
So I recommend doing like one of two things and or combining this activity. So one thing that you can do, because we are all obsessed with our phones, right, is to put your phone in airplane mode. Go out, no earbuds in, just like super focused on the world around you, right? As you start to lean into things like the song of the birds, the rustle of the wind, really like making eye contact with people, right? What a forgotten art, like saying hi to people as you move through the world. That sort of stuff really like drops you into your body. And all of a sudden, you're not worried about, the present that you have to buy for the event that you're going to next week, or the 12,000 family events that are popping up because of the holidays, or the bill that you're like freaking out about. You start to be able to move out of that level of like sort of pinwheel, right? Like the
Mm.
anxiety, the nerves, that, and you really start to be in the moment, which is what mindfulness is all about, which for me is the ultimate point of meditation. I know so many people worry because they try to like do the more traditional idea of meditation, right? Like sitting in silence, and they're just like, doesn't work. Like you said, they don't have time. They're just like, I'm not getting it. I'm doing it. And then the inclination is to throw the towel in. But what I always recommend to people, especially for beginners, is to integrate something like walking meditation, because the more you experiment with it, right? Instead of being like, oh, I stink at this. Like I tried to do sitting, the traditional meditation didn't work for me. I'm just not good at it. The spiritual journey is not for me, right? Which can
Hmm.
be sort of where our like negative thinking brain can go. But just I encourage people to have fun with it, because a lot of people really do resonate with walking meditations. And the other thing that I love to recommend, if you're not going to do the like, you know, no digital experience, is to pop some earbuds in and actually put a guided meditation or binaural beats on. Because when you listen to something like I have a meditation called Cultivating Inner Peace.
Mm.
And when I work with people privately, I also do a lot of like guided meditation. So my clients tend to listen to them
Mm.
while they do things like go on walks or work out or like do house chores or even work, to like energize and sort of get them in that like calm mind state.
Mm.
So I think also listening to things, if you are a person who likes to like be doing a few things at once, that can be a hot move for walking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And let let me just, before we move on to why and what this can really do for us, because again, walking is free, breathing is free. These are all things we can do that can make huge differences for our mind, our health, our well-being. But talk about, is that meditation something that people can access, and where would they get that cultivating inner peace meditation from you?
Yeah, I would love for people to jump into that. If you go to my website, we'rehere2remember.com, if you scroll to the bottom, you can opt into my freebie, which is a bundle that I call the Money, Magic, and Miracles Activation Bundle. And it comes with the Cultivating Inner Peace meditation, and it also includes a couple of pretty admittedly wacky channeled healings, which are light language, which is a way that I
Yeah.
channel frequency and help my clients. So it's a really fun bundle, especially for people who are spiritually curious to like really start to like
Yeah.
get into some cool new ways of, leveraging
Right.
meditation.
I mean, I should let our audience know your teaching is about walking meditation, which I think applies to everyone. But if you are a seeker, and many who listen to this podcast may be spiritually inclined, this is what you do. You do energy healing. You help people really connect to, what does my soul want me to know? You help people with manifesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. But that's sort of where you're coming from, is that, we really can kind of raise our vibe doing things like this, and our experience of like our whole day could be different from a few minutes of a walking meditation, right?
Yeah, just a few minutes. And I think one other thing too is, right, like because of how strapped people are for time, like people have families and they have jobs and like tons of commitments. We're all admittedly in the modern world pretty overextended. And I think to be able to even carve out 5 minutes for
Mm,
yourself, right? To be like, family, job, what have you, I'm going to take a few minutes for myself, go outside, go on a little walk, clear my head, helps with digestion, it helps with sleep. Again, it helps to really get you in like a just like a calmer state of mind. We know, right, the benefits of exercise are so
yeah.
incredible in terms of the way that they help to minimize stress. And the same for meditation. I remember reading a study, I don't know, like 15 years ago, where they researched people's brains as they went through the journey of meditating, and it literally changes your brain.
Yes.
So when you think about, like, even if you don't have an hour, most people can carve out even just like 1 minute, 5 minutes, start small, build up. And if you miss a day, right? Again, I feel like we can sort of make it like we can make ourselves wrong, but just pick back up.
Yeah.
Like, just forgive yourself, move it along, and be like, tomorrow I'm going to get out there. Especially in a place like Connecticut, there's so many beautiful outdoors spots, right? There's like really gorgeous places to get out there and commune with nature if you have more time.
Yes. And
But
Andrea,
5 minutes is all it takes.
you actually spent a lot of time here in Connecticut, right? You went to Wesleyan?
I did. Yeah. Yes. I'm a Wesleyan graduate and I have a real soft spot in my heart for Connecticut. And I actually used to do walking meditation when I when I was there on campus in Middletown, because like I said, I learned how to meditate when I was 17.
Mm.
Um,
So, well, lucky for you, lucky for you. And I know that teens can be resistant to this. I'll say, hey guys, they'll see me meditating or going for a walk. And I don't always say I'm going for a walking meditation, but I will, turn on my phone to someone like you. I'll go on YouTube, and there's certain free guided meditations. I find that the chatter of my mind is a little less if I'm listening to something, even if it's like you said, we can go to a Spotify or Apple and search binaural beats, and those are sounds that have been clinically shown to kind of balance our brains. But any of this being in the moment, what are the physical benefits we reap?
Yeah, so it's really cool because the physical benefits are so interesting, right? It calms the nervous system. It really does allow the mind to just like get quieter and relax, even if it's not perfect, but just even like
Mm.
starts to, calm that sense of overwhelm. It lowers your cortisol levels, reduces anxiety. Obviously, it also, especially when you get outside and you get some of those beautiful sun codes, it increases your vitamin D, which in the winter, right, is like exactly the move that all of us want. Helps you get back into that like natural rhythm of being able to sleep better, have like both deeper and more restful sleep. So there are so many different different effects to it. And, it's interesting because I actually learned the reason that I learned how to meditate was because, I ended up in a pilot program at UMass Medical School, which is where Dr. John Kabat-Zinn had done
Oh,
his
right.
research. Yeah, and
The
so
father of
so that was where
mindfulness.
yep, yep. So I ended up in a pilot program in like 19, I don't, the late 90s at some point, like 1996 or something, 97, where I was the youngest person by many decades, but I was in a group of people who had either anxiety or a lot of like, there were older people who had suffered from like heart conditions and had surgeries and things, and they were essentially teaching us mindfulness techniques,
Mm,
right? To help to complement everything else that was happening. And for me, it was about helping me to manage anxiety and depression. And it really made a difference. And wow, over the years, right? To be able to like anchor back into that, I am human. I fall off the wagon. Sometimes
yeah,
I'm not even, I'm a spiritual mentor and I miss a day, right? But I
right.
start to feel it very quickly. Like I know how much calmer I am when I am practicing myself, and it matters.
Right, right, absolutely. And I remember when I started doing Kara's Cures, at this point, nearly, gosh, almost 2 decades ago. And the more people I interviewed like you, whether it be doctors or gurus or therapists, and they'd say, "Do you meditate?" I'd be like, "No." And I was in my 20s, and eventually I started with a 21-day challenge that Oprah and Deepak Chopra were doing, and I love that little coming to my email box every day. Now there's apps, but like just little bits, and I started to realize that my days would go better, I would feel better. So this isn't like when you get a meditation practice, it doesn't necessarily mean, although we'll talk about it, you do teach people how to manifest all kinds of things, including how do we bring more abundance in our life. But when we start meditating, it's not like, okay, I'm going to become the Dalai Lama. I'm enlightened. I'm seeing all these things I didn't see before. I mean, but your days might actually start to just flow better, and you have less stress.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it makes you more resilient, right? I think
Yes.
that's one of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
why so many people recommend it, from doctors to gurus, all over the map, is that there's something starts to activate in you when you give yourself that, whatever it is, the self-care, the nurturance, the quiet time to really just like go inward. It starts to make it so even when things happen externally that would, perhaps be stressful through the 3D lens, right? Because we're human, stuff is going to get messy no matter how enlightened we are.
Mm.
But when we anchor into that, it really does help make it so it's like, you're moving like a tree in the midst of a storm, right? With like a level of grace. And it changes things for you, because you're like, well, X, Y, and Z came up, but I'm going to take some deep breaths and just keep moving forward. It changes the game.
Right, we practice. We practice. As you, I love that you said we're all human. Even you, as a spiritual mentor and someone who can really meditate and use your intuition and even psychic abilities. But we don't have to be tuned that way. It's just the idea that the more we do this, we get more practice about how to calm down, so we can be better moms. We can be better at work. I notice when chaos is happening here and there's breaking news, I'm able to tune in and just ground myself a little bit. That's a word that people use a lot: grounding, earthing. Can you talk to us? What does that mean to ground ourselves?
Yeah, when I think of grounding, it's about like really getting in touch with the earth under our feet. And it can be a metaphysical. That can be literal. Like I actually recommend that if you are able, while you are out there walking, and it feels comfortable and easy. I know it's getting colder, but you can literally take your shoes off, right? And put either your bare feet or your hands on the earth and like do a literal grounding, which
Mm-hmm.
is a real power move. And if you're not able to do that for whatever reason, or you're inside, it's cool because you can actually like close your eyes, take a deep breath. I always recommend that people like imagine sending a golden cord from their center through their feet into the earth, bring it back up, like draw all your energy home. And it changes things. It, again, much like the feeling that people start to develop of that like ability to just get back to like a calmer center no matter what's happening around them. When you do this act of grounding, it really does shift things like almost immediately. I always
Mm,
say to my clients, like when you're having a freak out, which again, we're human, we're going to have those moments where we're like, ooh, this is a lot. If you can literally even just like close your eyes, do that grounding exercise, it just helps to like get you right back into your body, remind you that, whatever is going to happen, but being able to really just like be at peace and not get stuck in like a worry loop, right? Because when we're worrying, we're not thinking about the moment, we're thinking about what could, like, usually worst case
yeah,
scenario,
yeah.
which almost never happens.
Right, right. Anxiety is when we future trip. So if you're feeling anxious, you're likely thinking about the future. So even just being aware of like, I'm anxious, I must be worrying about the future, bringing yourself back to the present. So just the idea you're saying, feeling our feet on the ground, maybe you're going to imagine that golden cord, or maybe you're going to imagine just, sunlight shining on you. But those few moments kind of help bring down your cortisol, there's a lot of benefits. We talked about lots of studies showing more gray matter in your brains, delaying brain problems like Alzheimer's, all that. And we know that people who are, I did a report once where they studied the brains of monks and nuns, and they have more gray matter, and the little part of their cingulate that kind of like the gear shifter to keep us calm is bigger. So we can train ourselves, even if we're not going to be a nun or a monk, we can train ourselves with just like, even as telling yourself, every time I walk to the car, every time I walk to go to the copier at work, I'm going to take that moment and actually feel my feet on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, feel your feet on the ground. And there's that Japanese idea of forest bathing, right? Which, like, I think is another thing to think about as we focus on that idea of like a walking meditation, is that if you are, right, 5 minutes is awesome if that's all you have, but if you can get out a little bit more,
Yeah.
if you can get to a park, maybe to the woods, to the beach, if you have access to something like that, and experience a little more of the natural vibe, that also helps so much to just, again, like help to just calm the nervous system and really like remind us of the beauty and the sense of possibility, right? Because nature is just like such a gorgeous way of getting back into the body and being like, like
Yeah.
everything is cool in this moment.
Yeah, and I love that you're saying, walking meditation, because people I think have thought, well, I'm not meditating unless I'm sitting there and I'm being quiet, I'm focused on my breath. And for some people that feels stressful, because they're like, am I doing it right? Am I not doing it right? I mean, you had your own struggles with anxiety, depression, PTSD, weight gain, all of that. And you actually have developed some of your own healing modalities. But for those who are, thinking, gosh, I need to feel better and I don't know how to stop my busy life, talk about how just maybe that 20-minute walking meditation, that walking out there, might really start to put them on the right track.
Oh, I mean, in my own life, right? You mentioned all of that litany of things that I struggled with and worked through. And I also had chronic nerve pain and
Hmm.
for a number of years. And one of the questions that they asked me at one point during the like process through which I was getting pain management was, do you meditate? And I laughed and I said, I'm like really happy to see that you guys ask this. And yes, yes, I have a very robust meditation process. But man, did that ever help when I had chronic illness, right? When I would just be able to like quiet my mind and calm down, literally visualize, right? During this is where we can sort of like edge into the manifestation
Yeah.
aspect of it too, is that because even when I had those struggles, I also had this very deep spiritual practice. I was always very aware of, this idea of like holding the vision, right? When we talk about like manifestation or co-creation, calling in more money, more magic, more miracles in your life. One of the big ways that I see that we do this is by actually feeling the feeling and being able to like imagine what it will be like when we've reached that point. And during the years when I was chronically ill, I always held a vision. I would sit in meditation. I would see, my spine aligned and healed. I would see me moving through the world with like a level of just like calmness, pain free. And I do think it really made a difference, for me to integrate that over time and hold that vision for myself helped me to actually embody that in real time and recover from all of those things.
Yeah, well, and as busy moms, You know, we all love a one-stop shop where you go into, say, Target and everything is right there. But what you're saying is a walking meditation for busy people could be the one-stop shop. You're getting some exercise, you're getting some me time, which can be hard. People don't bother you when you've left the house and you're walking by yourself, right? So,
That's right.
and you're getting that much-needed exercise, not only for maintaining our weight, but reducing our cortisol and our stress.
Yeah, yeah, and isn't I love that idea of like in a you're right to like Target with the one-stop shop. We need those things, right? To be like, I have exactly 22 minutes, between picking the kids up and dropping somebody off and doing all the things that like being again a modern person, we're inundated by so much stress. For moms, my God, I often will be on the phone with my best friend and all of a sudden, both her kids will be like, "Duh, duh, duh," like just right there. And so again, to be able to be like, this is me time. This is time where I'm going to just like move through the world, whatever you want to think about, whatever you want to dream up for yourself. It's such a perfect time as you're getting, like you said, the exercise in, you're working on your breath, you're focused on the moment too. And I think like I feel like, we certainly love to do the spiritual practice to be able to achieve that sense of enlightenment. But at the end of the day, we all want to know how it's going to impact our bottom line, right? And when you start to embody these practices, you carve out that time for yourself. I see it all the time with clients. People start to make more money, whether, you're an entrepreneur, it literally makes you magnetic to abundance and to like feeling healthier, to really like calling in a massive amount of like cool opportunity personally and professionally, the more you do these things. So it also like I do see that it like has an almost immediate effect often on people's ability to be able to especially call in more abundance.
I mean, you have an interesting background because you have a background also in finance and entrepreneurship and intuitive healing and teaching all of that. So blending the spiritual and the financial. But I'll tell you, I mean, lots of people, myself included, but we all want, more abundance, right? And it starts with being, I know, grateful for all the relative abundance we have. I mean, the fact that I can sit here and do a job I love and talk to you, I'm very grateful that, but I think there are folks, especially right now, wanting more in their financial areas, maybe wanting a relationship, and you teach manifestation. So can you bridge this, the walking meditation and how we can manifest some of those things we want in the real way? Because you say oftentimes people get stuck. It's a little more than the book of The Secret.
Right. Yeah. People tend to get like a little stuck, right? Because our thinking brain goes to like, well, I want to call in a better job or manifest a raise or, get some sort of like awesome windfall or improve my health. And we can get sort of stuck in that moment of like, well, but. And so the process of doing something like carving out, 5 to 30 minutes a day to do walking meditation while you're out there, right? While you're either listening to the guided meditation or the binaural beats and really starting to think about like, what does my life look like now, right? And what would I want it to look like in 6 months or in a year? And I have this channeled meditation that I call Dream Big, right? Because I think that's like one of the cool things that you can use, one of the perfect tools for manifestation is to really get grandiose with yourself. Like I think part of the reason also why we get a little stuck in where we are is A, we get caught in the details, but B, people don't necessarily like think as big as they can, right? And I always add a caveat to any like prayer or manifestation that I set into the world is like, please God, send me the thing that I have asked for or something so much better that I can't even imagine right now, right? Yeah. And so I feel like as you like carve out that time, you start to like move through the world, you start to like feel the feeling, right? You're like, ooh, what will it feel like when I get the raise, right? Maybe it's what you really want is more freedom.
Right. Like,
Maybe
so it's not just money.
To be more generous. Right. So see, that's like where the connection
like writing the
in.
check or seeing the bank account the way they talk about in some of the books. But you're saying we really manifest by feeling, like feeling will match feeling. So some people will think, well, I've been doing this and nothing happens, or I wanted to change this in my life and it hasn't happened. What as far as when you talk about it from an energy level, moving energy, when we start to feel better, that is a sign of manifestation, right? Just the fact we're feeling better and we're less stressed about something is a step on the way there.
Yeah, it's a step on the way there. And if you think about, how you want to feel, right? Like most people want more money because what you really are after is to be able to experience more pleasure,
Yep.
be able to have more freedom, right? For people, so many people have families, right? You want to be able to like treat your kids and take them on trips that maybe you didn't get to go on as a kid and really create, right? Like memories and joy and beauty and love, right? So from a 3D practical perspective, what you want is more money. But the reason you want more money is because you actually want to be able to, right, like live a joyful life and like, add to your community and the world around you, impact, freedom, pleasure, all those things. And so if you can sort of like move ahead, right, to me, that's where you really like quantum leap, because you're like, okay, I want to raise, and it's really because I want to take my kids on a Disney cruise, right? And that helps to just like anchor in, it helps to like meet your thinking brain and be able to have you say, all right, that's how I'll feel when I get to do that for them, right?
Right. So in our final 2 minutes together, I want to bridge that, right? I want to bridge our out of our thinking brain and into where we embody things. If we want to improve our health, improve our well-being, and also manifest back to the walking meditation, this 10-minute, 20-minute commitment you make to yourself to walk and maybe use that time to get really present and then maybe envision how you want to feel or a scene that really brings you that peace. Combining those things together is actually energizing all these things you're looking to put into reality, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly it, right? You're energizing it. And then when you get home, when you have a minute, you can maybe like if you're into journaling, you can jot down what you envisioned, what you saw, what you felt. If you're, more of like a visual person, like I often will sketch my manifestations. Like I do these like really big hand drawn vision boards for me and my clients. So I feel again, bless you. I feel like it's really just, again, about like having some fun with it, right? I feel like people can make the spiritual practice like very serious, which sure, there are parts of it that are, but like I really want to encourage people to just like be more playful, have more fun with it. And again, just like really give yourself the gift as we move into the holiday season to be able, especially the busy moms and dads out there in the world, to say, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do something for myself every day. And then you're coming also from a cup that overflows.
Yep, for everybody.
Instead of always being run down, right?
Andrea, thank you so much. And shout out the website real quick where people can get the free meditation one more time.
Yeah, we are here to remember.com, and just scroll to the bottom and you can opt into that Money, Magic, and Miracles activation bundle. And it's all spelled out except the number 2 because I love angel numbers.
Oh, I like angel. That's a whole nother. Love my angel numbers too. But thank you for being here. I hope you all try some walking meditation. And follow me at Kara Sundlin for more information. Have a great day and be well.